In today's DIY tip, I'm going to show you my DIY auto top-off. I'm Tony Jibster, and I am the Reef Noob. Most of you will already know, as water evaporates from your saltwater aquarium, the salt is left behind. This results in an increased salt concentration in the remaining water. By adding fresh water back to the aquarium, the salt concentration is restored. About a half gallon of water evaporates from my 15-gallon Nano Reef each day. And this DIY project saves me a lot of time by providing me with 24/7 automated filling or topping off of my system with fresh water. Now, before we get started, I strongly urge you to check out the how-to video made by Joey, the king of DIY. The link to his video is in the description. Joey goes into detail about the required parts and wiring needed, and it was my guide for this build. Of course, the great thing about DIY is that we can customize the build to suit our individual needs and preferences. As the water level drops, a float valve switch activates a relay, which in turn turns on the water pump. The pump supplies fresh water from a reserve tank to the aquarium. Once the water level in the aquarium is restored, the float switch turns off and the relay cuts off the power to the pump. I pulled apart my system to give you a better view of it. The ATO system uses two power sources, 110 volt AC for the aqualifter pump and 12 volt DC for the relay. A float switch controls the 12 volt current going to the relay. When the float switch is in the off position, the relay is also in the off position. When the float switch is in the on position, the relay is in the on position. When the relay is in the on position, power flows to the aqualifter pump and water is pumped into the aquarium until the float switch turns off the relay. Now, just in case the float switch gets stuck in the down position, I added a second float switch to serve as an emergency shutoff. It is wired between the first float switch and the relay. I attached a light to the float switch to demonstrate how this works. So, if the float gets stuck in the on position, the water will continue to rise until it is shut off by the backup float switch. I made the bracket holder from a piece of acrylic. I heated it and bent it to form the shape you see here. I use a 5-gallon bucket for the freshwater reservoir. I attached a piece of PVC pipe to the end of the intake tubing to keep it weighted to the bottom of the bucket. For normal operation, I keep the aqualifter on top of the reservoir bucket. I have an inline water check valve to prevent a back siphon on the tubing that leads into the sump. The blue clip on the end was made by my son on his 3D printer. Pretty handy. Here it is all back together and tucked under my desk. I use about 4 gallons of RODI water per week, so the 5-gallon bucket works out great for me. I refill it once per week. In addition to a link to the King of DIY's video, I will also place links in the description for the float switches, the relay, and the relay socket, just to give you an idea of the actual parts that I used. Please let me know if you enjoyed this video, and please, safety first. Thank you and God bless.